Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are on. So we are basically, we are talking about COVID-19 and how it has impacted the African economies. Today, I have got three guests. We've got two ladies today. Isabella Ingabire from Rwanda, Kigali. And I have got in the studio, of course, remotely, I have got Tanwa Ashiru from Lagos, Nigeria. Someone else is still struggling to connect, and that is Ignatuis from Rwanda, Kigali. So, ladies, you guys, you are in the business, you run your own businesses, and as we know, COVID-19 has caused havoc all over the world. But what we want you to tell us, how, so for example, in Nigeria, how are people coping with the businesses? Especially, we are interested in these small farmers, people who sell goods in the markets because of the lockdown. They're not supposed to sell their goods in the market. They can't basically come out of the house, and people can't go to market to buy food.
Yes.
Let me start with you, Ashiru. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Hello, Isabella. So it's been really tough over here for business owners. You know, a lot of them have seen their sources of income just completely cease. As far as the markets go, food was classified as an essential service. And so supermarkets and the markets are open between certain hours. And they are finding a lot of people are coming there and patronizing them as well. But you know, either way, for those people who just sell other commodities other than food, they're obviously definitely fish. A lot of business owners have had to be somewhat resourceful as well. They've turned to social media to try to market whatever it is as much as they can, especially those who sell food. So those in the commodities that are, you know, consumables are actually still selling because people will run out of what they are and then they're ordering some more. So you have restaurants, like I have a restaurant neighbor nearby, and he, you know, advertised all over his Instagram. They're still delivering food. So courier services as well are doing a lot of deliveries. You're definitely seeing some businesses that are still open. They have some income flow that's coming in. Some others are just hard hit because they've seen no means of money coming in. And so those are the people who are getting a bit jittery. Those are the people who are sort of getting over this sit at home, getting agitated about it. And it's, you know, people are really feeling the pinch right now because, as you know, in Nigeria, we don't have constant electricity. So you're seeing people pay not just for electricity, but they're also paying for fuel for their generators because, you know, you find on some days you have absolutely no electricity at all. So, and these are people who otherwise would have gone to their places of business to use their computers, to charge their phones, and, you know, do other things that require power. But now you're finding them at home with no power, no diesel or petrol for their generators, barely any money for electricity. It's beginning to hit right now, Joseph.
Okay, so I will come back to you to let me hear Isabella. Chris, Professor Chris is actually trying to join us, but his camera is muted, so we can't see. But okay, Isabella, let us hear from you because you have worked in the financial sector. You have worked for different businesses. What do you see the situation and how can it be rectified? Because the situation that is affecting Nigerians, it could be also affecting Rwandans. Am I right or no?
You're right. However, in Rwanda, apparently, they have put at least a few measures for those ones actually for the small and medium enterprises, whereby at least the private sector has I don't know whether you're hearing me.
Yes, of course we can hear you.
Okay. Tawana, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
And how about Ignatius? Ignatius, are you online?
Yeah, I'm online, but my screen keeps flipping, and I don't know why. I'm just trying to fix it.
Okay, don't worry. Provided
Yeah,
we can hear you, and provided you can hear the rest.
I can hear you, yeah.
Professor Chris is trying to join. I don't know whether he can hear us, but I can see he needs to enable his camera and audio. So if he's on the phone, Professor, you need to join with video and then audio. So back to Isabella. You were saying that yeah. Carry on.
All right. Maybe what I would a little bit disagree with the Taiwanese government is that back in our country, actually the electricity board is doing very well, whereby actually electricity is really very fine in our country. However, in regards to, of course, the rest of the things are essential. People are just only, the only products that are on board right now are only essentials. And however, also our central bank, which is the BNR, has helped all the borrowers to restructure their loans, both individuals or companies. And then also the private sector is really trying their level best for advocacies to do advocacy for the small and medium enterprises.
So you see, for me, I'm just asking these questions because as many African countries, maybe we might say South Africa is different from the rest of Africa, but not really all that different. We lack infrastructure. Even I'm not talking about roads. I'm not talking about having hospitals and stuff like this, but I am actually talking about maybe, let me say, policies. See, Rwanda, I think, is the only country that is trying to learn from the West, or they follow advice that they are given. Now, when you look, say for example, Ashiru is running a restaurant in Lagos. So what is the percentage drop from when COVID-19, before it started, and now? Tanwa? Yep.
Yes, Joseph. It's been a major drop, and I'll give you this example. In Nigeria, there are about 14 million businesses, small businesses that are out there. The small businesses actually make up the chunk of businesses across the nation. And there are also about 45 million businesses, 40 million businesses. About 5 million of those businesses have about 10 employees and under. So it's really hit the small businesses a lot. And and just like Isabella said, also the central bank, the CBN here in Nigeria, Central Bank of Nigeria, also released some funds. Yes, so the CBN released about 50 million, I think about 50 million naira palliatives for COVID and for small businesses and medium businesses, and also for some households. Again, these are just little small temporary measures that they're trying to put in place. Yes, the government is trying to do something, but like I said, we all know it's temporary. What is the long-term plan? And this is pretty much what we're all asking ourselves. I did come across a document by the CBN governor, and he's saying, look, here's the deal. And we've been bringing this over and over again. Nigeria has always been very dependent on imports. We're importing rice, we're importing sugar, we're importing commodities that we can produce here in country. And so, he said, look, we're somewhat glad looking at it from this point of view, where a lot of countries have halted their exports rather. So we cannot just ordinarily keep importing those things we used to. And so now the CBN is saying, look, we need to be less dependent on all these imports. We also need to start growing ourselves, growing our education system, growing our healthcare system. As you know, we had leaders who would travel outside the country to get healthcare. Unfortunately, now they cannot do that anymore. And so they have to stick with the healthcare that's available here. So anyway, we're seeing that the government is trying to figure out ways which they're going to cushion the impact of COVID. Some people are a little worried that we haven't even reached our peak yet. That peak that we're supposed to reach is slated to somewhat happen, at least within the next month or so. We're seeing cases rise here. We're hearing reports about some parts of Nigeria that, look, first of all, our testing has just been negligent. There's just barely any testing going on. And I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's a state called Kano here. And Kano, when they started, some undertakers, so those guys who, you know, the people in the burial grounds, started reporting an increase in the number of deaths, which is the number of bodies that are. Mind you, the statistics for those who have COVID in Kano are practically negligent. A lady said she had called the NCDC in Kano State, and they said it had closed down because the people who staffed it also tested positive. So you're pretty much seeing parts of Nigeria that has absolutely zero testing. And the little testing they're doing, the numbers are increasing. So the government can't really figure out a long-term solution yet, because right now they still don't quite have the grasp of what's currently going on.
Okay, Ignatius, can you?
Yeah, JJ, I can hear you.
Okay, now, okay, bring the screen towards you. We don't want to see that ceiling. Towards you a bit. Bring the screen towards you.
Can you see me?
Yes, of course I can see it. I can see
Okay.
you. Right, now,
It's flipping a
you
bit.
see,
Yeah.
okay. we have just heard Tanwa saying that in Nigeria, basically there is no clue whatsoever. They don't have anything. But this is what I want to know. In Rwanda, is there any government briefing every day on this matter, on
Yes.
COVID-19? Whether
Yes.
it could be about health, it could be, so, okay, tell us about this. Ignatius? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Not very well, but I just picked the point. Yeah. Yes, there is a daily briefing about the new numbers, the new recoveries, and the active numbers. But going back to business, we have seen
Okay. When we manage to connect, we will let us go to Isabella. Isabella, maybe
Okay.
can you actually?
Let me just take it up.
Yeah. Finish. Yeah, finish what he's saying.
So basically, on a daily basis, we receive the Minister of Health communicates or gives a press release on what's actually going on with the health. So to take an example, like they'll let us know the current number or the people that have been tested positive, and then also let us know actually even the people who are right now actually getting better, or who are in the next time going to be released. And then, of course, if there are some new measures, let's say if they're going to be extending they're going to be extending, then also police will communicate to us on the national TV, and of course even on the radios. It will be communicated how many days that have been going to be added. But with something to do with the businesses, I don't think there is really much.
Okay, so say for example, you don't have a minister of finance coming to address people on how the whole thing is developing.
I think that has JJ.
Yeah.
Because business really is just went into a free fall overnight, and just like everywhere, the businesses and economies are businesses are stopped. So what the government is looking at, I think, it's post-lockdown measures, which have been clearly communicated by the government. What the government is going to do about, there's a couple of measures they're putting in place, like refunding value-added tax to small businesses, extending the period for filing and paying income tax, and a fund. Government is proposing a fund that is going to help business. But obviously that depends on how things turn out going forward with the lockdown and with the new numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, all the economies are now on life support. As you can see everywhere. And what the government are doing is just plan what next to be done if the lockdowns are lifted. I mean, here, like everywhere, travel and tourism has been hit. Hospitality, you know, they're all on their knees. And basically, there's nothing going on at the moment. It's people are locked in, just apart from essentials. So I think it's
Okay, we are losing the line. We are losing
in
the line.
Rwanda, we have just lost the hosting of church. Can you hear me now?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can hear
who
you.
is this?
Yeah.
Dale,
I was saying that,
nikupigie. Nico, I am doing
Okay.
something right now. Let me call you back. Yeah? Yeah.
yeah, I was saying that
Basi wacha nikupigie baadaye, ya? Bado ya 1 hour. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Chris. at long last now we have got you. But what we need you to do, please tilt your phone towards you, because we are seeing the ceiling more.
Oh, okay. What about now?
Tilt the phone towards you again.
Or should I do it?
No. Just bring your yeah. That is better. We've gone again. We don't want to see the ceiling. No.
Okay, now, okay, yes.
Yes, that's better. That is a bit better. You see, we are already online. Okay, so I'm going to reintroduce the program again. Now we have just been joined by Chris Imafidon. Is that, am I pronouncing your name properly?
That's right, Professor Chris Imafidon. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So welcome to the program. We have already started. I know I have been monitoring you, trying to connect. Now we are with you. Now we are going back. We have been talking about the impact of coronavirus on African economies. And remember, I had a conversation with you earlier. I said that many African countries always seem not to be ready for anything. So now our business, our economies are crumbling, and I do not see any solution that African nations have put in place. Because you are in touch, you are a professor, you are in education, you are in touch with a lot of people, you are in touch with lots of governments. Can you give us just an insight of what you think?
This is the best of times, and it is the worst of times. It is the best of times for people that understand the history of the turn of the last century. Any leader now that has already read what happened in 1918, 1919, and 1920 will know that the life is in a cycle. History repeats itself. So if you have that knowledge, it's the best of time for you because you already know what is going to happen next. It's a cycle. It's an economic cycle. And it's nothing new at all. Anytime there is a plague, anytime there is a big cloud, there are silver linings. If you follow the silver linings, you see through beyond the clouds. If you don't see beyond the silver lining, you are dazed by the clouds. And that's why most of our leaders are politicians. Let me define the difference between a leader and a politician. A politician is someone that can coerce, cajole, or make himself popular to a group of people, and the person is elected into office. That's what a politician is. A leader is someone that leads people. When it's sunny, is in front and telling you this is the path to go. When it's raining, is in front. So no matter the weather, the leader knows that he or she is a problem solver for a group of people. And that person will retreat at this point in time and say, what do I do? And if you don't have the time personally as a leader, you come together with a group of people that have insight, that has the capacity to do research, and they'll come back with blueprint on the way through this cloud. Because the cloud will pass. If you understand that cloud will pass, you know that there is massive economic opportunity right now that the world has never seen before.
Well, you have put it very well, but what I want now to know, because you have put it in philosophically, you have put it in a way that many everyday people might not understand what you're actually trying to. I'm not saying that they are dumb or whatever, but the thing is, you have explained the difference between a leader and a politician. So in Africa, we have got politicians. We don't have leaders. Am I right? Professor, can you hear me?
Oh, of course, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. So now what we have been saying here, we are looking at how basically Africans do not have policies even to save their own people. So for example, they are following these lockdown policies. Now, when you lock down a city or a country, what we have just seen in many African countries, people who go to the market to sell their fruits and veggies and whatever, they're being harassed. And those who are going to buy, also they're being harassed. So then we have to ask ourselves, what is going to kill more people? Is it, because hunger can actually kill people, because there is no way people are going to go to those markets. And also, we have also now, I have just asked Ignatius here that in Africa, we have got finance ministers. How come that finance ministers do not come and brief the country on a daily basis of what is happening?
Because the president,
because
the president did not give them the platform. If the president gives them the platform, if you are a football captain and your team is going to take a penalty against an opposing team, the captain agrees who is the best striker. And the best striker goes forward to take the penalty kick. The captain of the ship is the president or the prime minister. He has to nominate now the person he put in charge of scoring goals economically to step forward and play the penalty. This is not time for politics. This is time for every African leader to call all the previous leaders. Like now, if I'm the current president, I will call the past president that is alive. The past president is alive. All the living president must be summoned right now. At the point of crisis, there is no political party. If not, the virus will wipe everybody away. Call all the existing elders in the house. If you have served as a leader in my country, I will call you now. I will be in the same quarantine room as you and say, as a father of the nation, we need your wisdom. All the existing economic ministers, finance ministers, call all of them and say, as fathers of the nation, we need you. If not, we will suffer and die.
Okay, and so Ignatius, let me hear Ignatius, because he was going to say something. What do you think? I was
just saying in terms of practical impact, really that have been hit. I was just giving 2 examples. Rwanda has just lost or postponed the hosting of CHOGM, the Commonwealth of Government meeting. It's not going to happen, and the government had really invested a lot. Not only the government, but also the private sector had invested a lot in that, and was expecting huge business opportunities. That's lost. Secondly, this COVID-19 is even threatening the implementation of intercontinental Africa trade area, which was supposed to start in July. It might be affected as well. So the economies are now in a free fall. They are straight away overnight, and they on life support. Some of them have been depending on foreign aid to a big extent in their budgets. Many businesses, small businesses, are going to collapse. So I think let's look at what can be done to remedy some of these impacts going forward.
That is all good. That is all good. I think the question is here. What I'm trying to arrive at: who is asking questions in Africa? Because what I normally see, whether it is in the media, Africa's media is very weak. Do not ask questions. Do not really, even when the question is valid.
Africa is not one country. Let's not make a mistake. Africa is not one country.
No.
Africa
I'm really
is a continent of 54 countries.
Yes.
And these countries have got different governance systems. They have got different economic systems. And the professors say some of them have got leaders, others have got politicians. So let's look at specific measures, maybe, or specific.
But exactly, this is what we are discussing here now.
If we can.
This is what we are discussing here now. If we don't ask questions, who will ask those questions? Because I can tell you, the foreign media, they are going to put these questions, and then people will, many leaders will start getting agitated. Oh yeah, we have done this, we haven't done this. So Isabella, you have worked in financial markets and stock exchange, I understand. What do you think the state of African stock exchange? What impact that has it suffered from COVID-19?
Sorry?
Okay, as a person who have worked in financial markets, and you have worked for African stock exchange, am I right by asking that? Is that correct?
You're right. You're right.
Right. So I'm just asking, what impact has the financial market suffered in Africa as a result of COVID-19?
Apparently, actually, today I was reading an article in about Kenya, which actually is the largest in East Africa, apparently. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
I'm getting
you.
an
I'm
echo.
just
I don't know
listening.
that you're hearing.
Right.
Okay, so the market Kenya itself has lost 20% in value last quarter.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm just getting echoes. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Keep talking. We hear you.
So when you look at actually African countries, most of them, when actually this pandemic came in, the supply chain itself was hit even more before even actually the disease itself. The disease itself came in the countries, in African countries. So I think.
Yeah, carry on.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Because take an example. Almost African businesses, they have a relationship with China, and when you look back, you'll see that China was the first to be hit. So in supply chain, you can imagine. So most of the businesses, the small and large economies, were really hit. When you look at for example, all the flights in Africa, most of them they had to withdraw travels. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You keep talking. If we can't hear you, I will let you know. But I know we can hear
Okay.
you clearly. Yeah. Okay. If you are having a little bit of challenges in connection, let me ask Professor Imafidon. Now, Professor Chris, what do you think? Because I'm always just wanting to know, where do African nations get advisors from? The advice from, or what can we learn now from this?
They work more on the spur of the moment, and they are extremely, most of the African countries I've interacted with, because they all came down in January to London for the African Summit, the UK African Summit. And I had the privilege of being in that meeting. What is happening now is a repeat of history. If we respect our elders, in my house, when I gave birth to my son, I had to ask my mother and ask my elder, like aunties and uncles, how do you manage a son? When you give birth to your daughter, how do you manage a daughter? Because the wisdom resides with the elders that have been through life. If the current leadership are able to relate with them, they will tell you, look, what China is doing now, we have done it before, but we did it with the Portuguese, or we did it with the Spanish, or we did it with the French. The recolonization of Africa that is taking place now is following a blueprint that the European powers did at the beginning of the century. So that's why I keep saying it's a cycle. Now we are an agro-based continent. 95% of our land are arable land. If we plant seed, it is impossible for you to tell me that what happens in London or New York will affect the seed I planted in Lusaka or in Addis Ababa. If we know that if it is solid, my brother, sell ice cream. If it is rainy, sell umbrella. Do not say that the cycle is wrong. You follow the cycle. Now you are talking about Rwanda and the issue of the Commonwealth Summit. I see that as a blessing in disguise. There are 52 things I will now do because of the fact that that meeting has been postponed. It wasn't cancelled. It was postponed. This is why I always, go back to the analogy of football. The captain of the football team relies on the coach. Do you know why there's a coach? The coach sees both sides playing. The coach sees every single player on the football team, but the captain is inside the field of play. He cannot have a panoramic view of what is happening in the football game. That's why I'm still relying on the elders, that they must not be partisans. Look at what happened with Ebola. Ebola knocked down as many people as possible, whether you support a centrist party, a left-wing party, or a right-wing party. It didn't matter. Corona does not respect your political affiliation or your ethnic group or your tribal group. Therefore, forget about whether you are Kanuri or you are Hausa or you are Tusu. No, forget about that. We are in a battle for survival. The whole youths have to be mobilized. Do you know what Amazon said yesterday? Amazon is looking for 100,000 youths to employ because their server is falling down. They are looking for technologies to employ. Walmart is looking for remote workers anywhere in the world because they're overwhelmed. The whole of America is home and they're on their television. No, they've abandoned television. They are now on the internet. So every single person is making, literally every single person I know in America is making big bucks. Number two, everybody is looking for masks and they're going to China. China does not have the patent for masks. Our boys and girls can be trained right now to be the mask.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. So let me hear Ashiru. You know, right? You see, in Nigeria, say for example, we know Nigeria to be the giant of Africa. That's how it presents itself. Now, the professor has just said that not how he has just said a very good thing, because many African countries are importing masks and wearable garments from China. So if we were really, okay, I know we have got a businessman like Dangote and stuff like that. Why is it not possible that we cannot actually do these simple things? Seriously, when I see the images, China bringing stuff to Ghana and stuff, and the Ghanaians are very happy, I just feel we are not really learning. So in Nigeria,
Yeah. Well, Joseph, you
yeah, go ahead.
okay, no, okay, yeah. So you had asked the question earlier that who is, I think it was who is holding the government responsible, or who is asking questions, something like that.
Yeah.
And the truth is right now, we're actually seeing a lot of citizens ask questions. Social media has just turned out to be something really strong. The professor mentioned, he said, look, everybody's turning to the internet. The truth is, even here in Nigeria, here in Africa, a lot of us have turned to the internet as well. It's not as great, it's not as fast, but it's, it's doing what it can. So with that said, you find that a lot of Nigerians are starting to hold the government accountable by either sharing information about incompetent areas, calling out people. As you remember, a few weeks ago, we hadn't heard, especially when the disease, the COVID has started breaking out here in Nigeria, and we still hadn't heard from the presidency. It was from Twitter that he was called out, and the pressure was so much on social media that eventually his media team told him, look, sir, you have to address the nation. And what we saw was about 2 days or 2 or 3 days afterwards, he had to come out and address the nation. So that's one aspect. I'll give you another one. The Chinese, a plane landed with some Chinese medical team, doctors, and they said, oh, they were here. All of a sudden, there was now, second thing, again, a lot of pressure from the public saying, why are you bringing in Chinese doctors?
Good.
Nigeria is a land with so many is happening. That pressure was put on by the public and also by the Nigerian Medical Association.
So, okay. Now,
I thought someone was saying something.
Yeah. Ignatius, he said, he hinted about the.
Yeah. Let me just say something on this. I think Africa, like any other continent or any other part of the world, was. No one knew, for example, that that masks is a viable business. I've never bought a mask in my life, apart from just the other day. These hand washing sanitizers, no one thought that they are viable business. Well, they were making them, maybe a few of them, but no one saw it as a big business. So I think this is going to change a lot in Africa and the rest of the world. There is going to be a lot of restructuring businesses. Some businesses are going to die out, and some new business models are going to emerge. And it's going to require a partnership, kind of public-private partnership between the government, the private sector, the community sectors and NGOs, the international community or donor agencies coming together and trying to build the economies and trying to learn from this experience and destructuring new economic models, not just business as usual. So
Joseph,
we can say Africa didn't do this. No, I'm saying we can criticize, or we can look at the loopholes actually.
No, this is not criticism.
But
we are observing.
What I'm saying, JJ, we are looking at the loopholes, but we just have to understand that everyone was caught unaware. Even Africa was not prepared for this.
Tanwa.
Sorry, Joseph, I just wanted to.
Yes, Tanwa, carry on.
Make a point, because I didn't finish the point I was trying to make with the masks. Now, earlier I had mentioned that the CBN had released a package. So the total package, it's a stimulus package here in Nigeria, for example. It's about 3.5 trillion naira. Now, I just want to show you how it was proportioned. 50 billion of that was to go to households and airlines and the airline providers and hoteliers. 150 billion was to go to the pharmaceutical and to the healthcare, okay? And then 1 trillion out of the 3.5 trillion was to go to the manufacturing sector. What is my point here? I'd mentioned earlier that the CBN has said, look, enough is enough. We recognize that we keep importing all these.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we have lost Tanwa. You'll come back again. Let me hear. Yes, we are almost. We have got 15 minutes to close. So, I can understand now Nigeria is taking a stand, but do you think that there will be a conflict between the private sector and the government? Tanwa?
No, well, no, so it's not, the conflict will come from the fact that the private sector can adapt very quickly and they will soar. And I'll give you an example. Private sector are the ones with teleconferencing and working remotely, whereas the government sector, in their offices, they've been so dependent on papers and pens. And so now that they cannot be physically in the offices, they almost can't do any remote work. So if there's conflict that comes, it will probably be a bit of envy from the fact that this public sector, the private sector, will be able to adapt and.
Okay, so we are having a little bit of a challenge there. Okay, I just want to complete. I just want to respond to
scale and reform themselves as a result.
Okay, cool. Ignatius, you know,
Yes,
you mentioned earlier that the CHOGM in Rwanda, of course, it has been postponed. That one I knew it. That one you wouldn't even have to second guess it, because many events here have been really shut down. Imagine shutting down football. Now,
Yes.
when it gets to that area, then you know this is serious. Football league is completely done. But now, what do you think that Rwanda is thinking? What kind of move they're taking? Because it's not only Rwanda that was going to benefit. I could see on your WhatsApp account, you had many people from all over the world contacting you and stuff like that. But have you had anyone saying, what is the next move, or what do we do from here? Like the professor said, this is the opportunity now, because many avenue can actually open up. So Ignatius, have you had any contact from your friends of what to do next?
Yes, we had built up a very big business group based on CHOGM taking place in Rwanda. We had people from over 25 countries, business people over 25 countries, who were preparing to attend, and they are from different sectors. So now, after this happens, obviously, as you said, no one had any doubt that with this kind of situation, CHOGM could not take place in June. It was just a question of time for the government and the Commonwealth Secretariat to announce the postponement. So the postponement is until further notice, because we don't know when this is going to end. But in terms of people who are interested, they are actually looking at the next move. They are saying, okay, we came together as a group who are interested in this event. Now, it's not happening as planned. It's going to happen at some point in the future. As of now, what should we do? I mean, people from different countries, 25 countries, as I said, or more than that, and with various business expertise and market experiences. So we are having that discussion at the moment. We haven't come to any sort of conclusion. I'm supposed to have another conference with a team from Sweden who were on our group, on our CHOGM group, and they're interested. They are dealing in solar energy, so they were planning to come to Africa to promote that aspect.
Okay, Isabella, I know you have been listening for a while, and because you had a little bit of a challenge to connect.
We did not disperse because we didn't. Economies is not together as a group with interest in business, what else can we do? How can we continue? And if CHOGM comes at some point in the future, it finds us doing something. So that discussion is ongoing.
Okay, right. Isabella,
Yes.
what I still want to hear from you, because, you know, since you have worked in financial markets and stuff like that, can you just give us an insight of how actually African nations they operate? Forget about the COVID-19. Do you think that they have got actually a very well structured system?
Actually, what is really missing, I should say, there have to be policies in place or systems in place. Let's take an example like in Rwanda. We have a very, can I say, like a homemade pension fund, which is called It Well today. If someone is sick today, they're able to go to any hospital, and actually they're treated. That is something that is very, very, very key. Looking at, for example, today when you have this pandemic, whereas in other countries, to be honest, testing, everything is, you really have to pay. So I think today government should be encouraging more on health insurance and pensions in informal sector, and put also social systems in place. Also, I think also government should also stop over dependence on foreign aid instead, and practice or encourage private sectors. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We are just paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also when I look at apparently some countries, instead of actually helping countries, actually they are actually enforcing more tax to these companies, and basically they're not able to identify really what is the current state, and then also what are the resolutions to the immediate challenges right now, and also decide on the strategic move and what exactly has to be done today. So if they're able to identify all that, I think everything will be really on a good move.
Okay, Professor, I know you've been listening attentively. What I really want to hear from you, if you were to advise African countries, what advice would you give them? In anything, it could be infrastructure, it could be business, it could be.
JJ, can I add one question?
No.
Professor,
Let us hear the professor first. Then you come back.
Number one thing is that the biggest asset we have as human beings is our brain. That's number one asset. If you understand the brain, you solve problem, and if you solve problem, you make money. That's why I keep saying that is the best of time. The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make. Let me give you a quick example. Oxford is racing ahead to see whether they can get a vaccine. Every day, I read from the African press about how many Nigerians have been discharged. They've been discharged. They were in isolation. They were positive. They are now negative. Now, if we can bottle that, now, we have local scientists. If they can document what happened, interview all the people that have been discharged and are now negative, and establish what they did, Trump will not have the mouth to tell people to go and be drinking disinfectant. Africa has been through Ebola. They knew how they survived it. They can tell us something about Lassa fever. Lassa fever is very similar to the coronavirus, the symptoms. I need somebody to tell me those people that were negative, became negative because they did X, Y, Z. Now, not tomorrow. Get all of them together, interview them because they are no longer at risk. Or electronically get hold of them, let them report what happened, and we will bottle that and start making money from that today, not tomorrow. This is why I keep saying it's the biggest opportunity. When it's raining, let's not complain about rain. Let's make umbrellas. That's what.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So Ignatius wanted to say something. I think we're going to be rounding up with. Yes.
I just wanted Professor Chris to address this issue as well.
Okay.
The issue of education in Africa. You know, that's his area of expertise. I mean, we look at how has it been affected, and how does he see it recovering after this whole situation?
It is the best of time and the worst of time. The education in Africa is going to be updated because of what Corona did. The idea of pen and paper, chalk and talk, black and white textbook is being blown away by Corona. 80% of the classes now are now in Zoom in the so-called quote-unquote developed world. In Malaysia, the universities are running. In London, the universities are running. You know why? You don't need the teacher to come to the classroom anymore. You can turn the television stations into hybrid university institutes. So instead of pumping out filth and entertainment, they can pump out information and instruction. It's the same medium. Go to Nigeria and see how many of them have 2 mobile phones, 3 mobile phones, and each mobile phone has 2 SIM cards. Do you know what they use the mobile phones for? Entertainment and gossip. It's about time they wake up and smell the coffee. You can have a PDF sent to you in your phone right now. Why are you thinking that YouTube is only for entertainment and music? YouTube is for lectures as well. So instead of just uploading all the things that can make you laugh, upload things that will exercise your brain. Do you know in Nigeria, in Abuja, there is a church of 25 people. 25 people, they stream their church services on Facebook Live. There is a university next door to it. Not one computer science professor streams his class on Facebook Live. So don't tell me that the technology is bad in Africa. If it's bad and the churches are using it, it's time every single university, without exception, understands that the grace of our great-grandfather is dead and gone. No exam should be written with pen and paper. Not now, not now. Every exam can be examined using your mobile phone. Very easy. We work with Microsoft, and Microsoft has perfected that. We can teach and examine electronically. We cannot. Let me tell you, I finished with this, the story of my grandfather. There was a man that was a great farmer. He went and then cut down the weed. The first day, he covered a particular area. The next day, himself, he woke up at the same time, cut out the weed. He didn't cut out as much as possible. The third day he came out, the place he was cutting out every day was getting smaller. He went and asked an old man, "Excuse me, sir, I'm cutting this weed. It's the same knife I'm using. It's the same me, but it looks as if my productivity is decreasing." The man said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yes." "What do you use?" He said, "The same knife." He said, can you bring the knife for me?" He brought it. He now sharpened the knife and gave him back the knife. The same knife, he went back, he cut more area. What I'm saying, let's sharpen the tools we use in delivering knowledge, because it is called the information age. It is a knowledge-based age. And the biggest carriers of information are teachers. They must not teach.
Okay, now, okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Never again.
Good, good. we're gonna round up. We have got only 3 minutes. The professor has already concluded with nice stories and start. I'm gonna start with Isabella. 1 minute. What do you think? What lessons are we taking from this COVID-19 in terms of businesses and African, how it has affected our economies? Just round up, just a summary of what we want to hear. Okay, 1 minute.
All right, just like the professor said, we really need policies in place. And let's stop talking about politics to this time round. Let's see our president, our finance ministers get to put policies that are going to actually help people than the much talking. And also, I think governments should really advocate for local made products.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Ignatius, 1 minute. Okay, I think his computer is frozen. Ashiru, 1 minute.
Yes. You know, this is actually a perfect time for Africa, really, and all the countries in Africa to position themselves for what is coming next. So, you know, we've been lucky enough to not have the same large numbers like you see in Europe and in Asia and the rest of the world. So that means that we really can, if we put our heads together and if we work together, we can definitely see a different type of Africa emerge. This is an Africa that is more dependent on itself and less so out of the world, and an Africa that has more erudite scholars and students who are more educated. That and many more is what we can see come out of this. So I really hope we put our heads together and we rise.
Okay, Ignatius.
Yes, yeah, thank you. I think we need to learn to work smart. You know, we need to revise the way we've been doing things. We need to look at where our strengths are and focus on that rather than just jumping around. We also need to work together. I think Professor hinted on that at some point. You know, put aside politics, put aside our either interest, but work for our own survival. Work smart. Governments should come together with private sector and work in public-private partnership and see how the new economy and how Africa can fit into the new economy that is going to emerge. So working smart has got to be part of it. And that means going digital in some areas like education and so many other areas, focusing on our agriculture where we have a very big advantage. And, you know, Africa can end up becoming the food basket of the world if we really take our agriculture very seriously. So
okay, thank you very much. But before we go, I just want to let you know there are people who have been watching online. Gilles Swan is actually a friend of ours here, and then Carla Moyo is watching, but I don't know where she's watching from. And then there is Kaita Gitonga, they have been actually following you. These just tuned in. Now, for our next episode, I think I would like to keep this group just to discuss serious matters. Next time, probably next week, if you are available, I would like to discuss vaccine issue because it looks like many Africans are opposed to vaccination.
Okay.
We're going to do that. We're going to
so.
actually discuss that next week.
So. Rightly
Yes.
so. Any sane person, any human being on planet Earth must oppose vaccination. Because the first time it was used, it was in 1796. 1796. Anybody that mentions vaccine should be ashamed of themselves. Are you saying the world has not progressed since 1796? Come on.
Okay, Professor, thank you very much. I think what we are going to do, this one will be a topic next week, and I'm sure you are going to have lots and lots of attendees actually responding to this. So everybody, goodbye, and thank you for attending. I am really pleased.
Thank you.
Thank
yes,
you for
and
more
until
education than rumors.
Until next time. Thank you.